Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Prepitch. I'm your host David, along with my co-host Richard.
Hey guys.
And today we're bringing you another pre-pitch in our,
Prepitch.
prequel pitch, series. Last time we did Back to the Future. And Richard, what you got for us today?
David, just today we are gonna do a prequel movie for one of my favorite movies, definitely top 5, The Truman Show with Jim Carrey.
Man, when you first told me that you're gonna do a prequel pre-pitch for this, I was like, how are you gonna do that? Like, I'm so curious right now. But let's spit out some facts for this movie.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, this movie came out back in 1998, directed by Peter Weir, who more famously he's done Dead Poets Society.
Oh, okay.
This movie stars Jim Carrey, Laura Linney, Noah Emmerich, Natasha McElroy, Holland Taylor, and Ed Harris. And so just a general log line for this movie is an insurance salesman discovers his whole life is actually a reality TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And now on top of that, was this movie a success? Well, here are the numbers for this movie. Domestic box office of when it first came out, or opening weekend when it came out, was 31.5 million.
All right, that's not terrible. It's not that great.
Yeah. Domestic box office was about 125 mil. International box office was 138 mil.
Okay, wow.
So worldwide total, it ended up becoming a 264 million dollar movie.
Oh, and how much was it again?
Now the budget for this is why it was a huge success. The budget for this was at 60 mil.
Really? That's it? I would imagine there was a lot of... I mean, I could see like it's a couple of sets, but still, that's pretty good.
I think, movies back in the days, like the early 90s, early 80s, like it was all about practical stuff, building the sets, things like that. So like the cost of it, cost of it compared to like what movies are now, it's so different.
Yeah, like with inflation, that's probably like what, 100 mil today.
Probably.
Oh wow, that's so good. And like, I don't know, like if it was received that well in public, but like I definitely know like this is a cult classic. People love it nowadays.
Yes, and it's one of those first movies where we really got to see Jim Carrey in a serious role. And, outside of because I think before this, he had success with The Mask and like Ace Ventura. He was labeled as this like crazy guy.
Batman Forever.
And
Batman Forever, David. You can't forget that.
Like he was just labeled as this like, crazy actor. Nobody really wanted to work with him. They think that it'd be hard to work with him. But, lo and behold, he's shown that he can be one of the best actors out there.
And yeah, he has that range.
Yeah. Now, what about this movie did you really like? Do you enjoy?
I am a huge Jim Carrey fan. I love him so much. Like you said, Ace Ventura, loved him in that. It's one of my favorite movies. Great. And it's sadly like a lot of actors pass away as time goes. Like, and I feel like when Jim Carrey passes away, hopefully not anytime soon, it's gonna devastate me.
Yeah.
And like because I love him so much, and I love this movie when I first watched it as a young kid on TV, and I love it now even more as an adult. The idea of, do you have control over your own life, and like what do you make of it? Like going past your fears of discovering yourself. It's so relevant now. The idea of us being constantly watched, it's so good. Even now, like streaming and vlogging, how almost every moment of our lives is being documented, whether we like it or not. This movie is so relevant today.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies that was ahead of its time for sure.
Oh yeah. And like the idea of like people just watch him sleep, people just watch him do daily tasks. Like people do that now with Twitch streaming.
It's crazy.
Right? It's so funny. And like, I mean, I'm sure this came out 90s or 80s.
98.
98, they were not thinking we'll live in a society where people tune in just to watch people talk
Right.
and chat, take a nap and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is right before the whole any like reality show came out, things like that. Like
Yeah.
it's wild.
And it's so good. And to like my favorite scene, like spoiler alert for a movie that came out over 20 years ago, is like he is at the edge of the dome where they built him to trap him in. He's about to escape, and the director, the Christoph, is offering, "Hey, the outside world is scary, but if you stay in here, we'll keep you safe, we'll keep you happy, and like this is your home." And Jim Carrey, instead of cursing him out, instead of saying everything, he says his tagline. He says his phrase, "Goodbye." What was it? I don't want to butcher it.
Says what is it? Good morning, and if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night. And like he says that to his neighbors every morning, and it's so simple. And he just waves off his audience members and the people that are watching him, and leaves. And it just ends right there. And I think that's just so beautiful.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think, yeah, like we've been saying, it brings out the humanity.
Oh yeah.
In this whole story,
and like, yeah, the details in this movie it's so good. Like the movie makes money. I mean, the studio, whoever, like when they're filming, they make money by product placements, and you see like random product placements in the corners. Like, as an audience member, you see that. Like even his like fake wife is like, "Hey, look, I got this kitchen tool that's really helpful," and it's like really awkward, and Jim Carrey notices, and like it's clearly an ad, and which is crazy,
right? And he's just questioning. He's like, "Who are you talking to?"
Exactly. And just like this paranoia, like everything, the truth is coming out, and just like the idea of this whole like him giving them the fear of water and trapping him in this island of, hey, his father died out boating, so he's trapped here, and it's so good. Yeah. I love it so much.
The fact that they were able to like manufacture his entire life in that way, to the point of like they manufactured his fear, like. That's wild. Now, some fun facts for this movie.
Oh, yeah. I'm so curious. Yeah.
So this movie was written by a writer named Andrew Niccol, who has also done movies like Lord of War, In Time. He wrote the story for The Terminal. Some, pretty fun movies.
Mm-hmm.
The original draft for this movie was actually supposed to be a science fiction thriller, a lot darker in tone.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So with that, he was actually supposed to be, or he originally wanted to be the director for this movie. But of course, studio was like, we're not going to pay you this much money for this
some random person.
Yeah, for this to be your first movie. So like, chill.
Yeah. Chill.
So they wanted an A-list director. And actually the first director that they had gotten to was Brian De Palma, most famously the director of Scarface.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay.
And now here's an interesting list of other directors that they considered for this. Got Tim Burton, Sam Raimi, Terry Gilliam, and even Steven Spielberg were all considered for this movie.
I would watch those movies, but I think the way the director did the campiness and just like the color and the tone, it was just perfect.
Agreed. Now,
yeah.
With that, the director who ended up getting signed on, Peter Weir, he read the script and he wanted to change it up a lot. He's like, this is too dark. This is too much, There needs to be a little more, hope, liberty, humanity, and hope to this movie. So Nichols ended up writing 16 drafts before Weir finally said, all right, this is the one.
That sounds like a recipe of disaster, but somehow it came out swinging, going for a home run.
Yeah. And I think the studio considered a few other actors for this role. I'm not sure, but I think Robin Williams was rumored to be tied to this. But I think Peter Weir was like, he might be a little too old for this movie.
That'd be kind of just sad.
Oh no, sadly, yeah. I mean, because he found great success with him in Dead Poets Society. But aside from that, the other issue was that the character was actually written to be a teenager who was coming right out, graduating from high school. And the only reason why they changed it was because Peter Weir really wanted Jim Carrey. So like they changed it for Jim Carrey, but Jim Carrey was actually already committed to 2 other movies at that time: The Cable Guy and
What movies?
The Cable Guy and Liar Liar.
Wow. Great movies. Yeah.
So he was signed on to that, but this is how much Peter Weir wanted Jim Carrey. He opted to wait a year to start filming this movie.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
So he really wanted him. He waited the year. They got him, and I think, that was the best decision, because I can't picture somebody else in this role in the way that Jim Carrey was able to do it. Now this movie has gone to have so much success. It's been nominated for 3 different Oscars, including Best Director, Supporting Actor, and Original Screenplay. And
oh wow,
Jim Carrey actually won a Golden Globe for this role, and also Ed Harris. So this was a huge success.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yep. And with this, with everything that we were talking about, this interesting concept started coming out after this movie, and it's called the Truman Show delusion.
Oh, interesting. It's actually, wait, tell me about this. I'm so curious.
So it came up first with a psychiatrist named Joel Gold. He was a psychiatrist at the Bellevue Hospital Center, and it first came out in like 2008. And he had met 5 patients with schizophrenia who really believed that their lives were all reality TV shows.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So it's just kind of interesting to the point where this movie brought out a different case of like
schizophrenia.
Yeah, like schizophrenia and like mental health issue.
Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, like, don't we all often feel like we are not in control of our own lives, and maybe there's someone out there controlling every aspect of it? I don't want to get there, but yeah, that's so cool. The Truman delusion. That's what you said.
Yeah, the Truman Show delusion.
Okay.
So yeah, if you ever start thinking that if your life is a reality show, you know what it is.
That is so interesting.
Some other interesting facts with this is also Ed Harris and Jim Carrey actually, obviously in the movie they never meet. They never met on set either. Like they've never interacted.
Okay. I mean, I
understandably.
I don't think that. Yeah, that doesn't add or take away anything from it. Right. From the meeting.
The original setting for this movie was actually supposed to be in New York City. But Weir wanted more of that open feel, just small town kind of feel for it. Much better decision for that one.
I agree.
And the funny thing is, as much as Peter Weir wanted Jim Carrey, they kind of struggled at first to get along.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But
didn't they film a movie together before this?
No, not before this. This was their first time interacting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, this is when but it's going to be like a really good movie. The amount of effort and time you put into it for the director. Now, Peter Weir ended up writing a 10-page backstory that described the history of the TV show, of the Truman Show. Really? So there was just so much detail into it. Like there's nothing missing from it. And, those are always end up being the best types of movies.
Oh, yeah.
And
when you put the care and attention in it that no one has to see, but and it gives it that flavor.
And on top of that, this movie was one that Jim Carrey also really wanted to do, to the point where this guy took a huge $8 million pay cut.
Wow. And like this is like the height of his career too,
exactly,
right?
Which he was at the height of his career, so he was entitled to about 20 mil.
That's like 1/3 of the budget.
Seriously.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of this movie, I think, can be seen as like a religious allegory, especially with the way the ending came out to be.
Yeah, I guess. Interesting. Oh man, David, I'm nervous about my pitch.
Kind of before we go into the pitch, though, were there any things that you kind of were like iffy about with this movie?
I I don't think this movie could be made to. Actually, no. This movie could definitely be made today. I think Black Mirror probably did an episode like this today.
I mean, this sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
It does, but I don't. You know what it is? I don't. The only not iffy, but like I don't think a movie can capture this because like yeah, it's like this drama. Yeah, it's kind of not horror, but like this deep sadness to it. But Jim Carrey and there's like this levity behind it. Like we talked about like '90s movies having this. It's a not simple premise. It's like it's still lighthearted and like enjoyable to watch.
Right.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Anything iffy? I mean, do you have anything iffy? I can't think of anything right
Honestly, nothing comes up to my mind. I think I enjoyed every minute of this movie. Like for me myself.
I think the only thing iffy is that his Truman's wife had to like sleep in the same bed with him for like however many years. I'm like,
that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
To think that like these actors had to really commit to this life going forward.
I can't imagine like the kind of contract you would have to sign. Just like I don't want to say that this couldn't be done today's world. Like honest David, the way I see the world moving, I could see something like this happening. But like still,
wow, interesting.
Oh yeah, 100%. Are you kidding me? I mean, like, wow? I can't remember that movie where a boy's life was being filmed from beginning, middle, and like towards the middle. Boyhood or Boy something?
Oh yeah, I think Boyhood. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, isn't that basically what this is? Almost.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you can say yeah. It's pretty much
like that is just like one step forward to this.
All right. Now I am excited to hear your pre-pitch for this.
Oh man,
you ready?
Yeah. So I don't know what the title is. Like this is a prequel. This is before Truman. This is before it's as popular as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want this movie to be filmed today in this era,
mm-hmm.
and like time wise, it's the same time period, but we don't really know what year it is. So I want there to be kind of like almost modern technology ish, nothing crazy like the like Twitch streaming and stuff like that, but still like along that vein. Like okay, there's still TVs, but we don't know what era or year this movie was made, like time period, right? They did a pretty okay job.
I mean, yeah, they don't like outright and say it, but I think it's kind of
90s,
implicated that it's within the 90s.
Yeah, so like we'll say like 2000s, like this when the quote unquote this movie the prequel is. The director I want it to be Jordan Peele.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he'll do a great job with like. I want it to be, that drama / kind of horror, but like he's still able to do levity in it, like make it fun to watch. So basically the prequel, Truman's not in this, but this prequel movie is about the director Christoph.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the a young Christoph, is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay.
Yeah, he's this young director, fresh out of college, with a vision in mind. He wants to be the greatest director of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna film. He has a concept, an idea of like a new reality TV show. Like he wants to film and show one of his closest friends, played by. Oh man, I don't have his name right here. Let me see. William Jackson Harper. You know him from Good Place, and he was in the second season of Love Life. He's a great actor.
Okay.
Yeah, he should definitely be in more stuff. I think he'd be great in it.
Mm-hmm.
And his girlfriend, played by Karen Gillan. You know him from as
Nebula
and Guardians of the Galaxy, or Amy Pond from Doctor Who. So basically, my concept of this movie is like, hey. He's a fresh director. He has a young actor friend who is, William, the actor, is like, hey, I want to film you 24/7 and try to make a movie and just put it out there on the internet so people can watch. And William doesn't understand this, but he sees this as an interesting idea. His then girlfriend, they've been dating for a couple months now, is like, hey, let's do this. And she's really pushing him, like, that sounds like a great idea. So they move out of their apartment. They go to this like cabin in the woods kind of area, cut off from people. You know, there's a couple of houses around, but like it's very closed off, and it's just that, and it's kind of not boring, but just like the first couple of weeks, first couple of days, it's just day to day life. They wake up, eat breakfast, do chores and stuff like that. But like as the days and months go on, you know, William is falling more deeper in love with Karen. You know, they're getting to know each other, and like she feels a little bit awkward. Like yo, like he knows he's being filmed. He knows that, but he tries to hide it. You know, to try to find moments alone. But like even those parts are being filmed. The moments that he thinks are private is being filmed, and I want to get to a point where in the climax that he gets so frustrated where he realizes that Joseph, like every evening they have William and Joseph Gordon-Levitt like kind of have like, hey, how did in the end of the day they have a discussion, and you know, William realized that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is actually orchestrated everything in this neighborhood. All his friends, all the people that he made friends of, connections in the neighborhood, they're not real. They're all actors. And what makes him more annoyed is that his girlfriend that he loves, that he's proposed to, that all this stuff is also an actress. So every aspect of his life, what do you call it, is being filmed. It's fake, and he gets so frustrated. You know, they fight. It gets all filmed on camera, and you know he leaves and is distraught. But like this show is a wild success. People love it. People are obsessed by how raw and emotional it is. That he gets to deal with the studio. Hey, like we want to make this huge, and like then we kind of end this season like the news like, oh yeah, like we purchased the rights of this child, and like that's how we see the beginning of Kristoff and his manicness.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so that's basically my pitch.
Okay.
It's just like we see a raw, unedited version of how Kristoff became him.
Gotcha.
Like, he's always been crazy, but like in a more personal, raw way.
Wow. Okay. I really like that concept. It's very, right. It's definitely a 180 from what I feel like. Just the feeling of it and of it seems to be a lot more horror, not horror-ish, or more horror than what Truman Show is.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like Twilight, Blacklist, Black Mirror, but like I do want to add like, you know, some levity to it, but like I think in today's world that kind of dark drama would be better.
Yeah, I mean, I get feels of like Ex Machina type of thing when
definitely
like that whole idea of like just, you know, a small group, it's just them and he's being watched every single time.
What is real, what is not.
I guess my question was going to be, is this being aired like the way that Truman Show is being aired, or are they just gonna film everything and then Kristoff goes off and shows it off to some studio or something like that?
It's being filmed live, and it's being I don't know how well it'll be in the 90s, but it's being streamed into the internet somehow. We'll just like, you know, plausible deniability. Like he's able to do that. It's low quality, but people are still tuning in, watching it. It was like he's a young director. He doesn't have space to film this, to show this on TV. Right. But he has access to the internet.
And the actor is aware that this whole thing is going online.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he only believes like, okay, only the living room or only certain areas are being filmed.
Gotcha.
Like he believes that. But he doesn't realize that no, like everything, the bathroom, every part of it, everything is fake.
Gotcha. Okay.
And like you bring up the question, like, is it a good thing to have every aspect of your life filmed, even if it's for fame, even if it's for quote unquote art?
All right. I mean, from a general sense, I would definitely give this a shot. If there are some things, I feel like
it needs a better climax.
I mean, that too, but I think you're on the right track with a lot of this, right. To be honest. I think, just hear me out, like, might have a little more gravity if the actor wasn't aware that it's being live. And so for like, I think maybe like introducing this as like a project for Kristoff, you know, like he's filming it, but it's not being aired anywhere, but he's filming everything, every aspect of it with the intention at the end of it of he's going to go show this to a studio and then that's how he gets
see.
this job for the Truman Show, or that's how he gets backed for this job for the Truman Show, which
Okay.
for the actor, because I feel like if the actor was realizing, oh, this is being streamed, I'm being watched, and there's this certain level of success to it, who knows, the actor might be like, oh yeah, that's great, that's like, I'm on board with all of this. But I think I want to see the actor be freaked out. Like he doesn't, I want him to be like freaked out at this concept, and then kind of seeing like there's no light at the end of it. Because like Christoph, it just seems more like this guy's being a weirdo and just filming everything in that.
The reason why I didn't do that is it's too close to the Truman Show. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'd rather it be a consenting adult that doesn't fully realize how crazy Christoph is.
No, so which is why I mean like he's aware that he's being filmed, but it's more so like he's recording, not live, bringing it on live air.
But like, if it didn't work out, if he hates it and he quits, why would he be okay with him showing it to studios?
But I think this is kind of showing more of the Christoph character. Like he doesn't care what this guy thinks. He's gonna show it regardless. Like he's the type that it doesn't matter for him. He's gonna finish his project in the way that he wants to do it.
All right.
So a lot more like character study and character arcs.
Okay, I like that. Okay, no, you think this would be a better TV show or just a movie?
No, I think it would be a better movie. I think people would tolerate it more within like a 1 to 2 hour timing.
Exactly. I think a whole season would be kind of boring.
Right.
Not boring,
you start dragging out, because like a lot of these horror shows, in my opinion, the first half, when it comes to like horror stuff, like the first half of the season ends up being like, great. You get scared and things like that. After a while, it just starts dragging, and it's like, all right, this is
get it over with.
Seriously,
we know your house is haunted. Come on.
So I think in this kind of concept as well, it's kind of better to like put it into a smaller time frame and bring in all the emotion that you can within that time frame. Honestly, that's probably my one thing about it. Like, I think the concept of it was good.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
right? You weren't expecting a prequel with Christoph, were you?
No. I thought you were gonna head in the direction of Truman, like actually, like about Jim Carrey's character
when he's younger.
Yeah. So I was like, how's he gonna do this? Like,
yeah. No. I thought like, okay, I don't want Jim Carrey's thing. I wanted to do something completely different. Like Christoph, it's like you have questions like, who would be okay with this guy film? How can you buy rights to a child's life?
Right. Yeah, so I think
interesting.
Really comes to the edge of like what's right and what's wrong about that kind of stuff. I think that's your movie would do that very successfully.
Oh yeah.
So nice, good job.
Thank you, David. I thought like, I would totally watch a prequel. Like I would, like, again, a prequel should not be made for these movies, but like
absolutely not.
If this concept was out, like maybe.
Hey, I mean, you don't even have to call if you told me this was just a pitch for a movie, that'd be great.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, because nowadays that would be so relevant.
That's definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fortunately, that pitch was great, but we've come to the end of our time.
So, David, where can our great, wonderful audience members find us?
As always, you guys could check our descriptions below and look for our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Prepitch Podcast. If you guys got any suggestions, you guys have any comments, you guys want to share your thoughts about this episode, give us shoot us an email at prepitchpodcast@gmail.com. And, as we like to say, share us, rate us, and berate us. We haven't said that in a while.
Yes, we haven't. I think berate us is the middle one.
Oh, yeah. All right. And also, as always, big shout out to our friend Joe Yoo, Mr. Panda Mix on SoundCloud, for helping us with the sound editing.
Yeah, and again, tune in to we release 2 episodes a week, and if you didn't catch our Monday episode where we talk about, of course, again, we talk about Marvel, but, some interesting conversation about, Tarantino, some random ratings are pretty bad, but yeah, if you haven't watched this.
It's pretty much about, how Marvel has so much content now. This is almost the only thing that's being shown. Kind of like it seems like the only thing we talk about on our shows.
But it really is like one like 3/4 of the stuff coming out is Marvel related. But again, tune into that. And just to wrap up the episode with a quote from the movie, one of the first lines of the movie by Christoph: "We become bored with watching actors give us phony emotions. We are tired of pyrotechnicals and special effects. While the world around he inhabits is, in some respects, counterfeit, there's nothing fake about Truman himself. No scripts, no cue cards. It isn't always Shakespeare, but it's genuine. It's a life."
Oh, the irony, because reality...
I know, so cocky. What psychopath says it like that? I love it. All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.